All right, well, welcome to Postscript. I have April Farmer with me from Atlanta, and she got to talk to us all about comparison because we're in our Meltdown series, all about how to handle emotions in the heat of the moment. Not the heat of Texas moment, but like the heat of the moment when you're in the moment. And I just loved hearing everything you had to say because I feel like comparison is just in our faces every day, all day, and especially with MySpace. No, especially with, I love that you talked about MySpace. Like, it just made me flash back of like, oh, I think it's out there still, right? I think
Probably.
MySpace
Oh my gosh.
is out there. But yeah, I love when you're talking about comparison and just how to filter that. And something that came to my mind is that saying that I've heard always that everything is okay in moderation.
Right.
But what do you think about that when it comes to comparison?
Yeah, I think when you compare, there's nothing completely wrong with it. It's about how it's about the attention you pay to it. So compare to grow. Don't compare to condemn. So if I'm going to compare myself to something or to someone or to something that they're doing, I want to compare to address myself and say, well, how can I get better? But when the emotion shifts and now I'm condemning myself because I'm comparing, then that's when it's dangerous. I feel like it gets dangerous in that space because, like you said, we're going to compare.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be something that turns into condemnation. Well, I'm now self-deprecating or thinking lower of myself or thinking less of myself. But if I see you and I like your hair, like, wow, her hair is great. If I feel some type of way about it, then that's a problem. But if I say, oh, I want to take that, go to the hairstylist and say, hey, I want that haircut.
Yeah.
That's different.
Right.
Yeah,
that's so good. I love the way you're saying that because I didn't think about it as just making it, you can make yourself better, but once you start putting yourself down,
exactly,
that's when it's not healthy and there's that boundary there where you can start seeing it. I was thinking all about the things that I see on social media, you know, whether you were saying your house or your clothes, and like when you just keep wanting more and what everybody else has, and how we can like understand that boundary of what you're saying, you know, just understanding when it's okay to say, okay, am I getting too consumed with this? So
yeah,
you talked a little bit about what an expert looks like. Explain that to me a little bit with social media. Do you feel like all of us are probably experts since 1997?
Since 1997. Well, I think so. It depends on how much time we spend. This is just an average of 2.45 hours a day. Think about how many people spend way more than that on social media a day. And so when you're thinking you're just scrolling and just getting information, but your brain is taking in so much content and so much of what somebody else is doing. And that's time that you're not focusing on yourself. That's time when you're focusing on what somebody else is doing and not yourself. And just think if we took that amount of time investing in who we are and the gifts that God has given us and what God has called us to do, how much better we could be at fulfilling our own purpose as opposed to observing somebody else's purpose for hours upon hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much waste there, but you're saying you can actually take that and then apply it to your situation.
Absolutely.
And understand what you can do to grow yourself. And I do love like comparison to others is you know, can just take you down a path, but comparison to yourself.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about that. What does that look like to just like think through how I can compete with me instead of competing, and why is that better for us?
Yeah, because the goal is to grow. The goal is to be better. The goal is to cultivate who I am. I have so many amount of years. Only God knows how many years you have on this earth. But with that time, am I progressing in life? Does this year look better than last year? Have I gotten better with my finances than I was last year? Have I gotten better with my relationship with my husband or with my children than I was last year? So comparing, that's why I think journaling is such an important thing, because you can go back and look at your journal and say, this is what I wrote in 2002. It's 2024. Wow, I've gotten better. Right. So it encourages us in our growing when we can compare ourselves to ourselves. If I look back, am I better than I was last year? Okay, if not, then I need to shoot for that.
Right. No, that's such a good way to think of. In your message, you talked about a circumstance, you know, when you were in high school, and you remember what color shirt you were wearing?
Oh, yeah.
This green blouse.
puff sleeves.
Puff sleeves.
It was so cute.
And you were standing there and you felt like this guy called you over and it was you. And then you got over there. And the story is that he's like, hey, what's your
friend's name?
Like, and you said, all of us have experiences and all of us, our experience matters to our purpose.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about like that situation for you. And, you're still talking about it to this day and how you've been able to grow from that.
Yes. Because even in that situation, I didn't see my own value. It was almost like I shaped who I was based on what somebody else thought or didn't think about me. And so I had this inability to see my own value. And over the years, if you don't see your own value, you can't grow. You can't get better. You're constantly comparing. And so in that situation in particular, I had to learn that, yes, she is beautiful. Yes, she is a great girl. It doesn't mean I'm any less. If you didn't pick me, somebody else will.
Right.
You weren't for me.
Oh, yes.
And that's the thing. It's like how I see myself. If my comparison changes how I see myself, then that's dangerous. But if I compare and say, oh, I can get better in this particular area. Oh, she's thriving in this area or he's thriving in that area. I can get better. Then that's something totally different. And then I also learned to value my friend as well.
Right.
Like I can look at her and say, yeah, she is kind of hot. She is beautiful. She does have beautiful hair. Yes. I don't blame you. Yes. But it doesn't make me less. And so paying attention to our emotions and what emotion am I feeling in this comparison? While I'm making this comparison, what emotion am I feeling? If it's a negative emotion, it's a poor comparison.
That's perfect. I love the way you just described that because it said, appreciate you, appreciate who God made you to be, remember who that is. And I think as a young woman, it can be hard to know and appreciate who God made you to be because really it's about how others view you and how you view others. And so I think just like instilling that at a young age is so important, especially as a mom of a daughter of a young girl, just knowing to live on purpose and to parent your kids on purpose. I love that you said that. A lot of this is about purpose, but you said appreciate you, applaud others, and amplify purpose.
Amplify purpose. Make it big. If purpose isn't big in your life, what are you doing? What's going on? Why are you here? Right. And those are questions we all ask ourselves. But if we have to realize that we were created by God for a purpose, figure out what that is and pursue it relentlessly. Do everything you can. Do everything that you have the ability to do to fulfill that purpose. And if it grows, purpose grows as you pursue it. And so start where you are. And as you do that, continue to grow, especially for young girls. I think young ladies struggle with comparison a lot because they think that they have to be or accomplish what somebody else is or is accomplishing. However, there's no other you but you. There's only one April.
Yes.
There's only one Liz. Like only one. So why not spend your life cultivating the one as opposed to comparing to the many? That's a lot of wasted time. And awesome. I wasted a lot of time.
Yeah. No, it's so good. It's so good. You can only go back and tell your younger self all these things.
Gosh,
right?
I know.
I feel like that's where it is like you're just honing in on growing yourself. And I love how you talked about that you can still love to see other people, like Priscilla Shire, you said, somebody who you look up to and you're just like, oh.
And never met her in my life. May never lay eyes on her, may never meet her, but I can appreciate what she has. I can appreciate her gifts. I can glean from her gifts and cultivate my own. That's the thing. Glean and cultivate and grow. Like, don't compare and put yourself down.
Right. And like you said, you don't have the kids she has, you have your own, everything you think through in that process is to say, that's not me.
Yeah.
Just remember that is not me. And I don't know what's behind the scenes because it's not beautiful as like we think from social media as well, that there's things to work on, I'm sure on everybody else's side, but we don't get to see that. We can only control us and what we think about us and how we can grow ourselves. So thank you so much, April. Oh, those are such good things for me personally to take from this. So
yeah, me too.
I really appreciate that. And thank you so much for joining us here at Postscript. And we will see you next week. We've got Ryan Leak talking all about anger. So
Woo!
that should be,
That's gonna
that
be
should
great.
a good one. So we'll see you then.